Good morning. Good morning and welcome to UU Wellesley Hills. Now please rise in body and or spirit as you're able as we sing our opening hymn, number 126, Come Thy Fount of Every Blessing, number 126 in the gray hymnal. Oh, good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to UU Wellesley Hills. I am the Reverend Mark Robel, the senior minister here. My heart is heavy this morning. What a week we've had. But the good news is that we are here. We're here on Sunday morning all together, loving and supporting each other. And as an open and affirming congregation, for us, it doesn't matter what you look like or how you dress or whom you love. It doesn't matter if you're gay or straight or bi, if you're married or it's complicated. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian or a Jew or a Hindu or a Muslim or an atheist. Again, what matters, what is so critically important at times like this, is that we're here, that we join together and we support and love each other. So regardless of where you are on your own personal spiritual journey, regardless of how you may name or know the holy in your life, welcome to UU Wellesley Hills, where we are joyfully called to worship this morning. Now, if I can ask, is there anyone here for the first time? Raise your hand. I won't embarrass you, just want to welcome. Now, as we do, let's turn to our camera. Oh, can we turn the camera around? Oh, I'll wave to the camera. Hi to the folks in our online pews. Hello, folks. Now, as we do every Sunday, let's turn to each other and offer each other peace and goodwill. Okay, a couple of announcements. Today, Ice Out for Good rally on the Wellesley Green from 1 to 2:30. And also, Monday, the 19th, at 2 o'clock, there is a Bridge Brigade at the Oak Street Bridge over the Mass Pike in Weston. So two sort of spiritual practice of resistance that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. Also, Mary Ann made a new sign-up sheet for hospitality and for greeters. It's in Parish Hall. So if folks can take a look and please sign up.
Now, as we deepen into worship, I'd like to invite Reed up to light our chalice. The flaming chalice is not only a shining symbol of our Unitarian Universalist commitment to religious pluralism and humanitarian principles, but also a much-needed light shining into our world. We light it on our altar each Sunday and anytime we gather as a community. If you are watching from home and have a chalice on hand, you may want to light yours now. The words for our chalice lighting are spoken in unison. You will find the words printed in your order of service or appearing on your screen. Please join me in saying them as Reed lights our chalice this morning. We light this chalice to illuminate our faithful way forward as an inspirational community of hope. Together we seek spiritual growth. We strive for just and responsible action. We dedicate ourselves to leading lives of compassion and purpose. And as I make my way down, if anyone wants to come up and join me for a story, they are welcome to. It's okay, I can talk in both directions.
Just the three of us? Come on, we need more than that. Come on, more.
It's okay. So this morning, I want to share with you one of my all-time favorite wisdom tales. Now, the more you get to know me, you will realize that I call almost every wisdom tale I tell my favorite, and I'm not lying, I do love them. But this one is truly deeply in my bones, my favorite. And I like to start it like I like to start all of my favorite stories with Once Upon a Time. Once upon a time, God was bored. So he gathered all the children and said, "Come, let's play." God and the children of all the land gathered in a field. God said, "I want to play hide and seek, but I want to play it in reverse. You'll close your eyes, you'll count, I'll hide. Ready, set, go." The children closed their eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When they opened them, God was gone. And the children started to scatter, off in different directions. One child didn't go too far, just a few steps into the meadow, when they stopped, mesmerized by the green shoots that were poking up in the mud. You see, it was spring. The buds on the trees that were just starting to appear. Very excitedly, the child threw their hands up into the air and said, "I win! I win!" I found God in the green and growing things. Another child had gone a little bit further, wanting to venture out of the meadow. They found themselves at a hill, which they climbed, and to their surprise, there was a bench at the top of it. They decided to sit down and take a rest, not quite sure how they felt about the game. What they realized is as they rested, the sun was starting to go down, and they could see the valley below. They watched the moon rise and the stars come out to glitter. Very quickly, the child jumped up, threw their hands in the air, and exclaimed, "I win! I win!" I found God in the dark, in the quiet, in the mystery. Into the next day, children were still playing the game. One had decided to venture far past the hills and nature and found themselves in the middle of a city. They were intrigued by a family, 2 grown-ups, 2 kids. They decided to watch what this family was doing. They followed them into a store, watched them gather bags of groceries, and then followed them back out to the subway. The child watched as the family boarded the subway, kids squabbling, not wanting to share, adults fumbling with their bags, and watched as a bag of groceries fell, carrots, onions, juice, all rolling around the subway. The child also watched as a stranger stood up, helped gather all the things that had fallen, placed them back into the bag, and then said to the children, "I have a game with me. Do you want to play?" The child playing hide and seek watched as this family started to settle out of the chaos that they had just been in. At the very next stop, that child hopped off the subway, and as soon as their feet hit the platform, they said, "I win! I win!" I found God in the strangers and the helping people. 2 more children had decided to travel together. They made their way into a store and found a mirror. Standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder, they looked into the mirror. Both of them quickly turned to each other and said, "We win! We win!" We found God in our reflections. Slowly, kids started to gather back at the meadow, each talking about the experience they had had, where they had found God, in the growing things, in the quiet, in the meadow, in the people. Some kids said, "I don't know where y'all were looking, but I didn't find God anywhere." Another kid said, "I didn't like this game to begin with, so I didn't even look." They all had had different experiences. And as they were talking about them and sharing them, God showed up. And God said, "Oh, some of you found me. Some of you didn't. Some of you aren't ready to look, and some of you don't want to look. But that's the fun of it. Let's play again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The end. So, at the end of every story, I give you a challenge, if you're willing to accept it. Here is your challenge today, and then in the days to follow. What happens when you count to 10? Do you look? Do you know exactly where to look? Do you want to look? Are you still trying to figure out if you should look? Spend some time in the next few days thinking about what happens when you get to the end of 10.
Good morning. The Social Action Council has chosen the theme of racial justice for our January plate collections, and this week we will be contributing to the world of Wellesley. Through events, programs, and partnerships, WOW strives to dismantle racism and bias, while celebrating the richness of every culture and identity. Since 1990, the organization has been working within the Wellesley community to create a town where diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging are fully embraced. To these ends, WOW holds an annual event commemorating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This year, WOW is hosting a luncheon at Wellesley College. Your donation will help fund a UU Wellesley Hills table on January 19th, as well as other community events throughout the year. A community book read in February will feature Dear America, Notes of an Undocumented Citizen by Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Jose Antonio Vargas. This year's MLK Day speaker is J.R. Harris, a wilderness explorer and author who brings a deeply human perspective on hope, resilience, courage, and our connection to the natural world. His keynote will focus a meaningful and inspiring lens on Dr. King's legacy. You can make your donation electronically or place it in the plate when it is passed. If you want to make an online payment, visit the online giving page on our website. Once there, be sure that plate collection is selected from the drop-down menu. Please contact me to reserve your place at the UU Wellesley Hills table on January 19th. We have 8 places left, only 2 are filled.
We open our circle of care and concern this morning with these words from Krista Tabbs. Universal Spirit of life, God of many names, source of all being, in which we live and breathe and have our being. We come together in prayer, even though many of us struggle with what that means. We come together before that which is greater than us, although we struggle to say what that is. And so on this day, we pray for those things we struggle with, for the conflicts we feel within ourselves and between us and those we love. We pray for guidance, compassion, for the opening of a path. We pray for these things that give us joy and hope, for those things that we trust in, believe in, and will sacrifice for. These are gifts of grace, and perhaps we need not define them in order to savor them, rejoice in them, and be thankful for them. What we do know is that we gather this morning with all kinds of needs. Some are facing serious physical problems and are in the need of healing. Other needs healing of a different kind, emotional and spiritual. Some are facing family problems. Some are weary with struggles of life and seek assurance that they will someday pass. Others face financial difficulties and the specter of making difficult decisions for themselves and their families. For each of us, we speak the deepest prayers of our hearts in different ways, knowing that what it means for them to be answered will look different and feel different for each of us. May we somehow this morning be met at the point of our differences and also in the places that we are one, of the same breath of life that courses through all living things. May we always hold in our hearts gratitude for those things that bless us with their presence, forgiveness for the ways we have turned from those blessings, and the willingness to open ourselves anew to this beautiful and hurting world. In the name of truth, compassion, and justice this morning. Now I'd like to take a moment to reflect on these words in silence. And may it be so. I'd like to light a special candle of peace this morning for the people of Minneapolis and for Renee, the family of Renee Good. May they find peace in the chaos somehow in this world. And I'd like to invite anyone who'd like to come forward and light a candle of intention this morning. And if you're comfortable, please tell us what person or place this intention is for, and we will carry them in our heart. If you're in our online pews, please type your joy or concern in the comment section, and we'll also carry your joy or concern in our hearts. So please come down the center aisle, light a candle, and return by the side aisle.
This is a candle of joy. Thank you for all the helping hands and warm wishes that supported me. My mother's memorial service was yesterday. It was beautiful. Thank you. And there was a miracle. My father, who was 94 and in the hospital, got out of the hospital the night before the service and could attend. Thank you.
I light this candle for Rodney Tweeton and Gary Gilliland, both of whom are battling cancer.
For Phil Spear, a former college roommate, passed away.
For my beautiful grandmother, Barbara Gagnon, who peacefully passed this past Tuesday.
For a college classmate of mine, a man named Bobby Clarkson, who passed away this last week.
We honor all of these intentions in this community this morning, and along with these, we know are certain joys and sorrow that remain private this hour. But those too have a rightful place here. So this morning, we honor all of these with light. We also light this candle for all the people who do not have a community like this in which to share their joys and sorrows. May this candle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse. May its radiance pour out upon our hearts and spread light into the darkest corners of our world. Now please join in singing Comfort Me, number 1002 in the teal hymnal, number 1002, and we will sing the first verse.
Our reading today is entitled Every Third Thursday, and it's by Joanna Fontaine Crawford. Every third Thursday, I am a Buddhist. I empty my mind and I lighten my heart, and I try to let go of attachments. Every other Friday, I'm a Christian. I look for the least of these and I try to love God and my neighbor. The full moon of the month finds me a Wiccan. I honor the dual nature of God, and I find my rhythm as maiden, mother, or crone. On the 15th of the month, I'm a humanist. I respect science, integrity of fellow humans, and all that we have learned and made. Every fourth Wednesday, I'm Hindu. I take a breath and understand that what is unfinished now will remain for me to continue next life. On alternate Fridays, I am Jewish. V'ish murachach, I tell my children, softly touching each head. And on the Thursdays and the Mondays and the Saturdays and the Sundays, and all the other days in between, find me reading or listening or watching philosophers, Muslims, Mormons, and more. Fill my heart, touch my soul. And yet, the one thing that none of these provide to me is the credulity that they are the one. They lend me wisdom, sing to my heart, cause me to question, help me find answers. Make me more me. And at the end of the day, every day, I am a Unitarian Universalist. In parcel and in pledge, with all my heart, all my soul, all my mind, and all my strength, I honor this faith. I hold it close as it lets me run free.
Okay. Can you hear me? Good. So we're doing something a little different, obviously, this Sunday. April and I are calling this Two Religious Leaders Walk into a Church. And it's a series that I think we're going to do a couple times a year here, just to sort of mix things up and sort of like a blog, have a conversation with each other about life, about religion, about being a UU. I also thought this would be a great opportunity for you folks to get to know April a little bit better. So give her the opportunity to talk a little bit about her background and her upbringing and her faith journey. So we've prepared a couple of questions just to sort of get us started here, but we really want the conversation just to flow between the two of us. So sit back and enjoy. So April, I'll start with you.
Sure.
I'll start first. Tell us about your background growing up. Did you grow up with a specific faith tradition?
Yeah, I grew up with lots of faith traditions. So I grew up in foster care, and I had an amazing foster family who were Sicilian. So my really young years, we went to Catholic church, and we went many times a week. And I loved it. I really, really did.
Did you say they were Sicilian?
They are.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. And I loved it. I loved the ritual. I loved the community. I loved everything about it. And then I turned 12 and started asking lots and lots of questions. And I think that was tricky. So from there, I went to church less. I went when I felt like it, because I loved being in church, but I didn't know that that was the right one for me. And then I did what a lot of teenagers do. Wherever I was at a sleepover or at a friend's house, whatever house of worship that family went to, that's where I went that Sunday. So my entire childhood and teenage years was filled with religion, but I didn't figure out which one was mine until I was an adult.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I'm still stuck on the Sicilian part.
Yes.
So was there a period in your life that you maybe felt not connected to something larger than yourself? Like, beyond your teenage years, because most of us go through those phases of questioning and sort of dropping out. But was there a period in your young adult or adult life?
Yeah, really it was from the time I was done with high school up until I had my first child, where there was nothing prompting me to go to church because I wasn't spending the night at a friend's house, and that's what their parents were doing. And so I didn't know where I fit, so I didn't really go anywhere. And I was okay with that, I think, for a little while. There was always something in the background that was like, you really like religion, you really like faith in church, but I wasn't feeling really pulled to go anywhere. I just kind of was floating. And then I started a family, and I went, oh no, we need to go to church. This is not optional. So then I had to look and figure out what faith tradition I wanted to raise my kids in.
You can ask me a question.
What about you? No, was there a period in your life where you weren't really sure?
There was. I've been thinking about this a lot since April and I decided to sort of do this conversation. And I've shared a lot of my life with all of you throughout the years that I've been here. But I remember, well, first of all, I knew in second grade that I would eventually be in some sort of ordained ministry. Sister Josephine Bartholomew, I grew up Catholic as well, all the schools, confirmation, communion, the whole 9 yards. And my second grade teacher was just incredibly lovely and kind to me. And I will never forget her, and that sparked something in me. Of course, I thought I was going to be a priest. Growing up in a Polish family with brothers, one of the boys is going to be a priest. And I actually did spend a semester in a seminary to study for the priesthood. That was not a good match for me, obviously. But when I lived in Boston for all of those years before Tom and I were together, I used to church shop on Sundays. I would go to these are the oblates of something over here. This is Church of the Advent over here on Beacon Hill, the Episcopal Church. Let me try this out. Here's Trinity Church. Here's St. Cecilia's. They have a really cool contemporary priest over there. But nothing ever felt right. Nothing ever, I didn't connect with, I love the ritual and I love the incense and the smells and the bells and all of that, but in my soul, I never felt touched by anything.
Yeah. So how did you end up in a Unitarian Universalist church, and then how did you end up a minister of a UU church?
Well, I'll tell this story quickly because most of you have heard this. Tom and I were, when we adopted Mark, we joined Holy Trinity in Copley Square. It was an Episcopal church. We both grew up Catholic, and it was a really comfortable place for us to be. It was Catholic light. They had the sacraments, they had the rituals, and it just felt really good, and they were accepting, and we were there for about 5 years. We participated. We would light the Advent candle as a family up on the altar, and they were doing the Undercroft renovation. There's a brick down there with our name on it. We invested our time and our treasure for about 5 years in that church, and then 2004 happened, and Massachusetts legalized same-sex marriage, and Trinity Church would not marry us. They said, oh, no, we can't do that. We need to think about this a little bit more. And that was devastating for us. And so we started looking around, and some friends of ours were getting married at the UU Church in Milton, these two guys, and I was like, I'm not going to that church. Those people dance around the maypole and howl at the moon, and I am not going to that church. But of course they were friends, so we went. And it was a beautiful, incredibly moving ceremony. So the next week, much to my chagrin, Tom said, well, let's go back and see what a Sunday is like. And I went, okay. So he dragged me back, and it was the coming of age. And I remember it was so incredibly powerful to be in a house of worship that was doing something that I knew was the right thing to do, with these young kids, and they're talking about their creeds, and it was very, very, very powerful. And at that moment, I knew I would be a Unitarian minister. I knew that at that moment that I had found my calling to become a UU minister.
I love that.
And so here I am.
So here you are. Want to know how I got here?
Yes, how did you get here?
So, like I said, I kind of drifted from the end of high school until my husband and I decided we were going to start a family. And my husband's Puerto Rican, so also grew up Catholic, and had not been to Catholic church in years and years and years. And so in that kind of drifting, I had really started to fall in love with pagan ritual. It reminded me of similar to ritual in church, and I really liked that tangible act of faith. And my husband wasn't quite on board when we started talking about, what faith tradition do we want to raise our kids in? And we wanted to be a family that went to church together. So then I got put on bed rest, and so I had 9 months to try to figure out what was going to happen. And so I also did church shopping, but I did it online. And I was trying to figure it out, and I was on Facebook one day, and a BuzzFeed quiz popped up. And the quiz was, what religion are you? And I went, I don't know, let's find out. So I took the quiz, and it gave me 2 answers that I was like a 50-50 split right down the middle. Unitarian Universalist or Quaker. And I had no idea about either, so I did research, and I went, I am too loud to be a Quaker. That's out of the picture. That's just never going to happen. And my husband is too loud, and if our children are anything like us, they will never let us in. And then I said, I don't know what a UU church is. I've never even heard of this. And we live in Taunton. And so I started, again, I'm stuck in bed. I'm like, what else am I going to do? So I start looking. And there is a UU church literally a 7-minute drive from our house. I drive by this church every day, but it is this huge stone Gothic cathedral-looking church. I never bothered to read the sign out front. I just looked at it and assumed it was a Catholic church. So I said, oh, okay, we should probably check it out. And it was towards the very end of my pregnancy, and they had just said, okay, you can get off bed rest. And I said, this is what we're gonna do. And my husband went, that's what you wanna do the first outing you want to go to church? And I said, yes. Look at the website. It's great. It says, come as you are. And he went, yeah, okay. So we got dressed to go to church. We showed up, and standing outside of the church was an older gentleman who had paint all over his pants. He was smoking a cigarette, his hat was backwards, and he said, welcome to church. And my husband went, okay, maybe. He was great, he was lovely, and he was the sexton at the church, and so it was a work day for him, but he showed us around, he walked us inside, and we had gotten there early because I was really nervous. And we walked in, and the music director was rehearsing the soloist for that day. And she was standing on the chancel, barefoot, in cutoff shorts, nursing. And I went, yep, I can do this. And we sat down, and we were both in tears by the end of the service, just because we both realized how much we had missed being part of a church community. I went into labor 2 days later, and we were back 3 weeks after that.
You wound up spending a big part of your career at that church, didn't you? Tell us
My
quickly.
career started at that church, yeah. So there I was with kids. At this point, we'd been there a few years. I was on my second kiddo, and they didn't have a nursery or a youth program, and so I was kind of filling in. My kids are both high needs kids. My youngest is on the spectrum, and so there was a lot of, well, this is where we're at today, and this is the need that we kind of have, and this is how the day is going. And the DRE at the time was there super part-time. He was only there 5 hours a week. His kids had grown up in that church, and for him it was very much this is important, I don't want to let it die. But he also he was a social worker, he was running for city council. It was not a career for him. And more and more kids started showing up, and so the RE committee at the time was like, we need to do more here. And he was like, I just don't have the time, I can't do that. And so he quit, and the minister said, April, can you just fill in while we go into search and look for someone? Can you just do this for like 3 months? You're already kind of doing it because you're already in there with your kids. And I said, sure. And at the end of the 3 months, she said, we actually aren't going to go into search. We'd like to offer you the job. And I said, I don't know what the job is. And so she said, well, there's this retreat on Star Island. You should come and you should do that. And it'll, it's for new DREs, and it'll be great. And so I went home, and I was talking to my husband, and at that point we had a 4-year-old and an almost 1-year-old. And I was talking to my husband, and I showed him the video, and he said, absolutely not. That looks like a cult. I'm not going there. And I said, listen, this could be a thing. I could have a career. I was a stay-at-home mom. I said, let's go, and we'll argue about it when we get back. And he said, okay, fine. And at that point, he was going to church with us because he was being a good husband, and he didn't want to fight with me, and he was like, this is the thing that we're going to do. And Wednesday of that week, we were sitting in chapel, and I was so convinced that this is what I wanted to do with my life. This is what I had been called to do. I was going to be a religious educator, and we were sitting in chapel Wednesday night, and he looked over at me, and he goes, I think I'm a UU. And I went, great. And now he is the island engineer for Star Island. So our whole family is swimming in UU waters, and my kids are at church in Waltham today. So, so that's how we got here.
So we're going to have to wrap this up. We got to like 2 questions. But as a little sort of spark, we've been doing a lot of talk about God today, during the service today. So we need to pick this up in our next, to have a conversation about our personal theologies of God. We don't have the time. We have to get going. But thank you very much for agreeing to do. I said to April, let's do something. I have an idea. She was like, yay, I love ideas.
This is why I can't be a Quaker. Too much talking.
Yeah. But thank you for being a part of this.
Happy to.
Okay.
It's fun.
All right, now, our closing hymn, if folks could please rise in body and or spirit as we sing our closing hymn, number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Heart, Bravest Fire, number 34.
Now that our celebration is concluding this morning, we extinguish our chalice. Our closing words are spoken in unison. You'll find them printed in your order of service or appearing on your screen. Extinguishing this flame, which has burned bright in our midst, we revere what has been kindled within each one of us. Warmth in community, the light of truth, and a perpetual spark of hope.
My friends, there is a power at work in the universe. It works through human hands. It is a creative, sustaining, and transforming power, and we can trust that power with our lives and with our ministries. It will sustain us whenever we take a stand on the side of love, whenever we take a stand for peace and for justice, whenever we take a risk. Trust that power. We are together, held by that power. Our service has ended. Embrace the power that sustains you and return again with great joy.